The mental health module is about preparing us as paramedics to have a range of skills to be able to deal with any situation mental health related. Someone who's had schizophrenia, PTSD, depression.
Mental health is an incredibly important part of not only the workload of paramedics, but of everybody really in society. With 1 in 4 people suffering a mental health problem, this is not something that we're not going to come into contact with.
The module was structured basically kind of 50-50, so we did lectures and simulation, where we practice our simulation in the immersion suites that we have at the university. With the teaching, we had our own faculty giving lectures, but also outside speakers, guest speakers from different places of work, but also patients who suffered with certain mental health conditions came and spoke to us, which meant we could ask them questions, things that we might be shy about asking, so they could tell us what they wanted from us, which they haven't been able to tell paramedics before, because this is such a new area of teaching.
The mental health module is really founded upon simulation and simulated patients, but it's also with a background of guest lecturers and expert teaching, people with lived experience of living with mental health conditions. So the aims of the module really are to start talking about a subject that's incredibly stigmatised and hope that they will continue to treat their patients from it in a compassionate and sensitive way, putting students through experiences that they would see on the road, but doing it in a safe environment so when they get out into practice, they've seen it. And nothing is ever going to be as frightening as doing it for the first time.
One simulation that does really stick out for me was probably my first one actually.
In the brief, I was called out to a patient who was stood on a bridge.
And as soon as I walked into this simulation, I had the patient shout to me, "Don't come anywhere closer or I'm going to jump."
What we used were our non-technical skills, build a rapport with him, get into the patient's circle of trust.
I had to really learn to think on the spot and think, what would I actually do? That was real-time feedback on what I would do in that situation in real life.
Because I've never really been in that situation before this course, I had to learn a lot in these simulations very quickly so that when I was out on the road, I could put it all into practice.
The debrief in a simulation is probably the most important thing that we do. We'll go through and we'll actually talk a bit about the physiology and the pathophysiology around that. The students that watched the sim get to ask questions about what the student that was doing the sim thought as they were going through it.
The lecturers are really helpful afterwards. They say to you like, "Oh, that was really tough, like how did you find it?" It's a really good communication system and support system.
The most important thing for me was that this module gave me a lot of confidence in addressing mental health issues and breaking down barriers and taboos. And this module really helped me build a solid knowledge base on which I can rely. It's also helped me understand that there's a lot more things I can talk about with them than I thought I could. I was a bit shy at first. I thought that I was going to say the wrong thing. This module really taught me that it's really better just to get things out in the open.
I wouldn't have really known how to deal with a lot of the patients if I hadn't done the mental health module. I would have felt quite lost, quite intimidated as well in certain times.
I think it's important it's being taught because it's helping with the stigma that people aren't talking about it. Even paramedics themselves are not talking about their own mental health, because it's not even the patients that may suffer with it. There's people in ambulance services who are not talking about things either. So it's been important not only for us to be able to treat patients more holistically, but also for everyone else who works in these positions to be able to look after their own well-being.
It teaches you that sometimes you don't always have the answer, that often these people are going through really difficult things. They just want someone to talk to.
We give them confidence, we give them skills, and we hope that they can continue that into their professional practice and that they can continue to wave the flag that there's no health without mental health.